Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Training. I hope you're having a fantastic week. As always,
we are live from Austin, Texas, right here at Insurance Syndicate headquarters. And man, we have a great show for you.
good morning. What is happening? Hope you guys are doing fantastic on Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Yes, it's Tuesday. Feels kind of weird, like it doesn't actually feel like a Tuesday. It feels a lot like a Monday. I was working from home yesterday, and I was also a little sick yesterday after this whole winter storm that we've had come through. It's quite cold here in Texas. It is still cold here in Austin, Texas. It's about 22 degrees this morning, but was able to slide into the office this morning on some ice. Wasn't too bad. Most of the roads were pretty good. Still a little ice buildup, a little accumulation, but nothing terrible for us. There's a lot of people out there that I know that got it a lot worse than us. So if you were out there still struggling with that winter storm, man, I feel for you. Hopefully you are safe. Hopefully you got water. Hopefully you got electricity, and hopefully you got some warmth. But thank you guys for tuning in. We got a pretty good topic to talk about today. We're going to get a little bit more of the State of the Union of what's going on in the Medicare world. CMS dropped a proposal yesterday, and then we got some interesting news that popped up this morning from CNBC. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and get kind of a glimpse at the Medicare world, more specifically the Medicare Advantage world, as we roll into the rest of 2026 and get prepared for 2027, because obviously that is what this proposal is about, if you didn't see it. So real quick, before I jump into that, obviously the show is always brought to you by DFY CRM, my CRM of choice. It is easily one of the best white labeled versions of Go High Level out there. I mean, if you're not direct to Go High Level engineering your own CRM and you're looking for a great CRM, you should certainly try out DFY. Easily one of the best ones. I'm fortunate that I'm good friends with the owners and developers, and I get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff of what they're building, shaping, right, creating for it, that they'll be released to people in the future, all with no price increase. Like, they're keeping the price steady at $97. It's a steal of a deal, and you get to do everything that you want to do, all your automations, all your customer relationships, your notes, your text, your email campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. So we use it at a very high level, not to be cliche, and love it to death. So if you're looking for a good one, give those guys a holler, and they will give you a nice demo. But diving right into the topic, man, if you may have woken up this morning and seen this article from CNBC, it's already been shared around the Facebook interwebs a little bit, and it looks like doom and gloom, like just from the headlines. But let's be honest, media loves that, right? They love to spin doom and gloom because that's what gets clicks, that's what gets readership, viewership, etc. And it says right there at the top, I mean, Humana United Health plunged 20% after Trump administration proposes keeping Medicare Advantage rates flat. I'm not going to go through this whole article because the headline is pretty much what it is. And it is definitely true. Like, you can go look at the stock prices of all of the Medicare Advantage carriers, and you will see them down right now. Why are they reacting to that way? Because also yesterday, CMS proposed their final rule for MAPD payment rates. So if you're newer to the Medicare space, more specifically Medicare Advantage in general, every year there are multiple CMS proposals and final rules that come out for various things. There's the Medicare physician fee schedule. There's the MAPD payment rates, which is this one's about, and there's certainly marketing regulation rules, payments to agents, et cetera, et cetera. So there's multiple final rules. So when if you're newer and you're like, wait a second, another final rule, didn't they just drop a final rule, not too long ago? There are multiple final rules that come out based on different segments of the entire program. The final rule that dropped yesterday is specific to the proposed payment rates for Medicare Advantage plans. So again, just in case you're brand new to this space, all Medicare Advantage plans, or I should say the Medicare Advantage program and all the insurance companies that sponsor these plans, they are subsidized by the federal government, by CMS, right? For every single enrollee that they pick up on their plan, they get a monthly stipend from CMS to help offset their claims and so forth. That's a big reason why that we as agents, when people ask us, hey, how come these plans are zero premium? Well, because Medicare's paying for them, right? They don't have to charge you for the premium because they're getting that money right from Medicare. So every year they have a proposed payment rate for what they're going to give to Medicare Advantage plans for the next year. Now, if you look at trends ever since 2014, I'm going a little bit by memory, but ever since 2014, there have been nothing but increases to Medicare Advantage plans, which means every year that payment rate goes up and up and up and up and up. And from 2014 to, I would say 2020-ish, maybe even 2022, we've been on a massive bull run in the Medicare Advantage space where the payment rates have just continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. As a matter of fact, and again, I'm going because I don't have that data in front of me at the moment, so I'm going by memory. During the Biden administration, we saw record level increases to Medicare Advantage plans, like as more than double previous years before, record level increases. And we saw massive expansion, right? We saw huge footprint growth. We saw huge benefit growth. We saw all these carriers gobbling up membership because originally, just to help kind of go back and set the tone here, originally, all the experts, and this comes from Kaiser Family Foundation, I've talked about this many times, all of the experts said that, hey, Medicare Advantage won't cross the 50% penetration threshold, meaning that 50% or more of Medicare beneficiaries would be enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. They said they would never cross that threshold until around 2030. And we crossed it 2 years ago, where we had over 51% of Medicare beneficiaries enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans. Why? Because of those payment rate thrusts that were given during those years. So we were able to see them really expand their plans, make them more attractive with lots of benefits, stuff, and expanded footprints. Last year, we saw a lot of that contract, right? We saw carriers dropping or reducing commissions for certain plans in areas that they're not profitable and that they're likely trying to exit that market in a hopefully a reputable manner. And we've seen benefits get condensed and contracted, right? The VBID program is gone and now it's all SSBCI, right? So we've seen a lot of, again, I'm just going to say contraction for lack of a correction. Let's call it correction. We've seen a lot of correction this year, and we're going to continue seeing that in some level. And here's what we're getting to. So we saw this giant plunge, 20%. We're seeing carriers' stock market or stocks drop. Why are they dropping? Well, they're dropping because of this proposal right here that just came out yesterday. You may have seen it. CMS proposes the 2027 Medicare Advantage and Part D payment policies and to improve payment accuracy and sustainability. Now, here's the kicker that there's a reason that these stocks are dropping. All they propose is a 0.09% increase. That is probably, matter of fact, I know it is. That is the lowest increase they've ever proposed, right? So Wall Street is reacting to that because generally Wall Street thinks in the future. They're like, what are expected earnings in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? So they were probably based on trends in the past, based on enrollment growth, et cetera. They were probably expecting CMS to propose a 2%, 3%, 4% type increase. But they only proposed 0.09. And again, that's a proposal. That is not a final statement. We've seen in many years past where they proposed 3%, but it turns out to be closer to 5%, et cetera, et cetera. So this could certainly be more than 0.09%. And theoretically, I guess it could be less, but probably not. So it's basically flat. Like it's not a massive increase. It turns out to be about $700 million in increase to Medicare Advantage plans, which in the grand scheme of things for them is just really not much money. So Wall Street's reacting and they're saying, well, there's not going to be as much earnings growth in these companies. So What happens? People sell off a little bit, stock prices drop, etc. That's why we're seeing that. My message is that does not mean this is the end of the world in the Medicare Advantage space by any means. If anything, I think it's a set in the right direction to rebound from the massive bull run that we had, the correction we're going through, and let's get this thing under control so that we can increase it better and take better care of it in the future so that we can be better stewards of this program in the future. So I'm not going to go through this whole proposal. I will make sure these articles are in the group. You guys can check them out. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go through some of my projections, my thoughts, some of my notes on what this really means for us in the business to look towards in 2027 and possibly beyond. I'm of the opinion that we have an amazing opportunity for us in the Medicare space. I couldn't be more bullish on the space, and I couldn't be more happy to be in this space now, even though I've been in it for 22 years already. So we have some excellent opportunities. I'm going to tell you what I think this means. So again, number one, they're proposing a 0.9% or 0.09% increase. Not much, right? So carriers are reacting, Wall Street is reacting to that. And unfortunately, some people in the market, some people in the industry, some agents in the business are saying, oh, the sky is falling. This is the end of Medicare Advantage. This is the end of our opportunity as agents, et cetera, et cetera. No, it's not. If you go back, if we look at that rule, other than just the payment change that they're proposing, 0.09% small little increase, what they're really looking for is they're really looking for improved payment accuracy. If you go back and you read that article, which I will get in the group for you, that proposed rule, the big thing they're looking for is improved payment accuracy. What that means is if we're going to pay, if we're CMS, if we're going to pay a Medicare Advantage plan this subsidy money, we want to know that what we're paying you is accurate based on the member or your membership health conditions. We don't want to see you upcoding. We don't want to see you over-diagnosing patients, right? We want it to be on point. Anybody that's been around this business long enough knows that Medicare Advantage, as it has been in the past, runs about 22% more expensive to taxpayers than original Medicare. So original Medicare or CMS subsidizing Medicare Advantage plans is roughly 22% more costly than just having all the beneficiaries on original Medicare, right? That's been the trend. They don't want to do that anymore. They're tired of that. And frankly, I don't blame them. Who would want that? And that's where you see a lot of the bad news about Medicare Advantage that centers around is that it's expensive, it's bloated, these carriers are getting rich on our tax dollars, et cetera. And a big part of that is because of poor payment accuracy. We got carriers that are upcoding, whether they're doing it on purpose or not. I would hence, I mean, if they're profit-driven companies, they're probably doing it on purpose, right? You know that United Healthcare, as an example, sends out, I don't know what to call them, healthcare workers, nurses, whatever. They send people out to do a home healthcare visit. And the whole purpose of that visit is to try and find all of the diagnoses that they can get for that patient or that beneficiary so that they can then upcode and get more money from the government, right? Whether it's done reputably or not, I'm not going to argue about that, but we know that that is an effort that they purposely go after. It's like, hey, let's make sure that we're getting as many diagnosis codes as we can on every beneficiary so that we can get more money from the government, so that we can grow our plan, et cetera, et cetera. Big part of it. And I don't blame them to do that. I mean, they're a for-profit company. Like, that's fairly intelligent of them in some way. But the key is they got to be accurate in that. Don't just bloat the diagnosis for profit's sake. Let's make sure we're still being accurate. And that's a big point that they're driving in this proposal. They also want to keep they want to maintain beneficiary choice, but they want to reduce churn. And that's another big part of it, right? They're tired of seeing a ton of churn from plan to plan to plan every single year. And I remember I was having a conversation with one of my beneficiaries this AEP, and she asked me, am I going to have to do this every year, Tony? Do I have to re-review my plan and bounce to the next great plan every single year? And I told her, I was like, I hope not. Like, that's not my goal for you. And that shouldn't be your goal for yourself. And I don't think that's the carrier's goal for you. And I really don't think that's Medicare's goal for you. But she happens to be in a marketplace that is volatile. There's been a lot of network changes. And I've had to move her from plan to plan to plan a couple of times, or about 3 years in a row. I've had to bounce her from Humana to United Healthcare, from United Healthcare to Aetna, and now from Aetna to Baylor Scott and White. And I'm of the opinion that where she's at now, she'll probably stick. And I hope so. Because our job as agents isn't to revolve our business constantly. We want to get people in the right plan for them that's solid and that is going to stick for years to come. Sitting around churning our business and spinning our wheels is not real growth. It's good management of your book and taking care of your clients, but it's not growth, right? So while they want to maintain beneficiary choice, they want to reduce the amount of churn. Because not only is that busy work for us, it's busy work for Medicare, because they have to have all the people, staff that approve these applications and these enrollments as legitimate when they come through, right? And so what they're really trying to do in this proposal is, number one, again, the big part of it is they're trying to improve payment accuracy, maintain beneficiary choice, and they want to support long-term program stability. So they're working on updates to this risk adjustment model, so to speak. And if you look at the previous final rule that they proposed with the adjustments in star ratings, the adjustments in reporting, right? They're putting a lot of pressure on the insurance company to improve reporting. Like, hey, these are the proper diagnoses. These are the proper codes. These are the proper utilization rates for our benefits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If we saw that previous final rule that I've talked about, it's good for us as agents because they're reducing a lot of our friction, a lot of our regulation. And now they're coming back to the carriers and they're saying, hey, if we're going to keep this program moving, we need accuracy, period. And that's really all it's about. So Wall Street's reacting because their brain is set in the future and they're not getting what they projected or predicted based on past trends, but it is not the end of the marketplace, right? That's kind of the big crux of what I'm trying to say. But I want to talk about a few more things real quick, right? Our current administration definitely supports Medicare Advantage plans, and that should come as no surprise, right? These are a group of capitalists. They're 100% in on private business, but they're tired of overspending in government sectors. They're tired of being bilked. They're tired of seeing Medicare getting hammered with fraud, waste, and abuse. Some of it driven by the insurance companies. Some of it certainly driven by fraudster providers that are out there. So they're tightening up on all of these items to tighten government spending, not to screw the program over, not to attack agents and say that we're doing a bad job. None of that is about that, but it will affect us in the future. And I'm of the opinion that the right agents that get through these corrections are going to have a massive opportunity and land grab for the future. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. I'm not just here to blow a bunch of pie in the sky for you in that regards, but I want to talk about, Lana, kind of what you need to look for in the future if you are an agent in the Medicare space. So again, the new administration, they definitely support Medicare Advantage, but they want tighter controls. They want to see how payments can grow and create a stronger emphasis on accurate payments that reflect real health needs rather than just allowing massive increases. Fairly simple. So let me grab some of my notes here. I put these together in haste this morning a little bit, so some of them are a wee bit sporadic. I apologize, but I haven't had a lot of time to put this together. So what's going to happen likely to Medicare Advantage benefits in 2027, right? We already know what our plans look like for 2026. We see them. But what are our plans probably going to look like in 2027? The trend of tightening up benefits is going to continue. Right? The era of free shit is over. The era of more free stuff from plan to plan is over. You just need to embrace that, period. But instead, we're going to see tighter benefits. We're going to see more selective generosity. And I'll get what that means here in a second. We're going to see more managed plans and probably some more trade-offs. So understanding how extra benefits are funded, if you don't already understand that, right? All of these carriers get a fixed payment from CMS, from Medicare. And if they manage that care well and they have good margin, they use that margin and the rebates to fund the extra benefits, the dental, vision, the OTC, the transportation, the Part B givebacks, food cards, flex cards, etc. Well, if their margins are squeezed, then they don't have as much money to fund those sizzle benefits, the fun stuff, right? And unfortunately, for the past, I'd say 5 to 7 years, we have seen a ton of agents in this space selling on the free shit. We've seen a ton of carriers bloating their plans with a bunch of free stuff that a lot of it has very low utilization. Like they're bloating plans that have transportation, for example, or gym membership, and nobody uses it. They're bloating plans with massive dental. Like we saw, I think it was HealthSpring plans, if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, start to add $10,000 in dental to their plans that nobody's using, right? I would say the number of beneficiaries that use $10,000 in dental in a single year, I don't know what that percentage is. If anybody can look that up and tell me, I would love to find out. I assume it's extremely small, right? But for a long time, agents, carriers, agencies, call centers, etc., have been selling on all the free shit. That game is over, right? So now that the payments are getting squeezed and carriers are getting encouraged, I should say, or they're being told like, hey, we want more accuracy. We want more reporting. We want to see what your utilization rate is for your benefits. And if the utilization rate isn't on par, then we're just going to tell you, like, you don't need those benefits in your plans if nobody's using them. So we're going to see a lot of that get tighter and go away. We're going to see tighter risk adjustment. We're going to see increased coding pressure, right? We don't want to see a bunch of bloated diagnosis codes, and that's going to increase medical cost pressure as well. So plans are now getting hit with less revenue or less revenue growth, and in some cases, higher medical cost. So something's got to give, and it's usually the extras that are going to give. So we will continue to see plans in 2027 with less extras, less dental benefits, less transportation. Maybe instead of having unlimited transportation, they have only 12 rides. Instead of $5,000 in dental, maybe it's only $1,000. Maybe it's only $500. Instead of $500 in vision allowance for frames, maybe it's only $150 every 2 years. Instead of $100 a quarter in OTC benefits, maybe it's only $25. Instead of $184 Part B give back, maybe there's no give back. Maybe it's a $20 give back. Maybe instead of 0 premium plans, we might see $10 and $15 and $20 plans. It would not surprise me in the least to see more Medicare Advantage plans with premiums next year. I don't think they'll blow up to where all of a sudden we're seeing plans with 100, 150, like Medicare supplement type premiums. But it wouldn't surprise me to see more plans, especially in rural areas where we already see them, that have increased premiums. So all of that is going to continue to get squeezed. So if you are one of those agents that is guilty of selling on the sizzle benefits, the givebacks, the OTCs, the transportation rides, all of that as your hook to get people to buy from you, you're going to struggle. But if you're an agent that understands value and you know how to position products on value, the true core benefits, hospital, medical, the things that people need, the max out of pockets, et cetera, the true meat of the plan, network probably being the biggest part of it, truthfully. Like if you understand how the network of a plan operates in a certain area, which is pretty easy to figure out, you can start by looking at the star ratings. Generally, high star ratings are going to be indicative of a strong network. Then you can dig into that more. If you're able to really dig into those core benefits, the network, the hospital coverage, the MOOP structure, the primary care, preventative care, you're going to have a better overall experience. Your clients are going to have a better overall experience. You're going to have better retention. You're going to be able to position yourself much, much better. So plans are going to be much more surgical, right? For the plans that do include a lot of these benefits, where are we going to see it at? We're going to see it in D-SNPs. We're going to see it in C-SNPs. And we're going to see it in specific counties and markets where they have really great participation, where they have 5-star ratings because they're killing it in that area. They have a rich network. They have rich benefits because we're only going to see that in areas where their profit margin and they're doing really, really well, or for certain areas where they have really good strategic, or they're positioned as a really strong strategic competitor. Everywhere outside of those areas, we're going to see leaner designs, slim PPOs, that don't have a lot of frizzle, a lot of sizzle in them, so to speak. So again, rich plans, you're going to see them in your duals, your chronically ill C-SNP plans, and certainly your high utilization plans. Probably going to be in very large metro areas, not rural areas. If you're selling MAPD in rural areas, you should probably really educate yourself on how to sell Plan N instead. Being honest. We will see more utilization management. We will probably see more prior authorization. That's bad news. We already see a lot of it. You're probably going to see more. Why? Because they have to, because their margins are getting squeezed. So they can't just be doling out benefits and MRIs and tests and procedures like candy. They have to make sure, hey, is this truly medically necessary? And I get it. Like, nobody likes to talk about prior authorization. Pardon me. Still coughing some of that up. Nobody likes to talk about prior authorization as a necessity. We always like to talk about it as a negative. You're like, oh, everybody's benefits are getting, denied through prior authorization. Go back and look at the math. It affected less than 8% of the people. 80% of those prior authorizations were overturned on the first appeal. It's not as big a problem as people think, but it's still a negative. And if you're in high rural areas where your MAPDs aren't as strong, you can certainly use that as a negative to position Medicare Supplement as the plan of choice. I've talked about this enough. We're probably going to see more step therapy. We're going to see more network steering, right? Plans that are trying to get people to use specific networks within their plan. And they're going to do all of that to control costs instead of just raising benefits. What your beneficiaries are probably going to notice, as if you're not already picking up, less free shit, right? And they're probably going to see less free stuff ads from carriers and agencies and call centers that are able to do that. They're going to see smaller flex cards. They're going to see plans that look boring, but solid when it comes to the core benefits, because they're going to have more focus on networks, doctors, cost sharing, stability. And you as an agent need to be thinking about that. What's the network like? How are the doctors and providers? What's the cost sharing look like? What's the stability of this plan? Am I going to have to move betting next year because this plan is just promoting a bunch of free shit and it's probably going to get bounced, or it's going to have thin profit margins? So this is a trend shift. This is not just for 2027. Ultimately, it's a trend shift, right? So if I were to put this in a statement, I would say that CMS is turning Medicare Advantage from a benefit marketing war into a care management product. And that should be a good thing, ultimately, I think. So benefits aren't going to vanish, but they're going to be less flashy. They're going to be less constrained. They're going to be more targeted, and they're going to be more region specific. So the days of things like $300 grocery card, $5,000 dental, and no copays are gone. Those are behind us. So for you, that means that it's going to increase the value of real plan comparisons. So if you're able to really drill into plans as an agent, be a professional advisor, and deliver true plan comparisons that drill into the provider networks, the importance of medication coverage, then you're going to have much higher retention. Now, what about agents, commissions, distribution models, etc.? You're not going to like what I'm about to tell you either. But if you're the right type of agent, you're in this game for the right thing, you're going to be fine. Because when plans face squeezed revenue and tighter risk adjustment, higher medical costs, and more regulatory pressure, they have to protect margins. What are their four big levers? Benefits, administrative cost, distribution costs, that's us, and utilization. So they're going to put all four on the plate and start working on them. We already know, as I've talked about, benefits are going to get squeezed because margins are getting squeezed. So it's very possible that we're going to see things like marketing allowances and co-ops go out the door. I'm of the opinion that there probably won't be any co-op from your FMO next year unless they're digging into their own pocket, which I'm of the opinion they should do. If you're going to get co-op, it shouldn't be from the carrier. That's my opinion, right? If Humana's giving my FMO $1 million and then that FMO is taking that and distributing it to agents that feel like they're going to write a bunch of Humana. I mean, ultimately, that's steering. Let's be honest. We already know that is steering, which we're not supposed to do. Agents aren't supposed to steer, but it's okay if the carrier steers by promoting the agent, by giving them co-op, whatever, right? If that goes away, that's fine. As an agent myself, an agency, like I don't need co-op. I like it. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to count on it. And I wouldn't count on co-op next year if I were you. And again, I'm of the opinion that there is co-op. It should be coming from your FMO out of their own pocket, not from the carrier. That's just my opinion. So you'll probably see reduced or no co-op. You'll probably see very reduced or small field bonuses, if any. We might see some pressure on commissions. We might see some pressure on overrides. I doubt it, but it's possible. Because distribution costs are one of the largest controllable expenses that they have. What's the easiest way for a Medicare Advantage plan to reduce their expenses? Cut your commissions. And I'm not saying that's what they're all going to do. We've already seen that they're willing to do it in certain marketplaces. I don't think they want to do it because they need us to get the product out 100%. 100% they need us. So they can't just wipe us out by all means. But they can say, hey, if you're going to write this plan, we're not going to pay you, or we're not going to pay you as much because we're not as profitable on that PPO that's out in Timbuktu County somewhere. So they're going to start to shift and rethink some of their distribution channels. We might see more carrier call centers. We might see carriers like Humana invest in their own call centers that are only selling Humana for Humana. We already know that they're out there, but we might see more of that. We might see more captive agencies. Like this is a trend that has been going on for a while. A bunch of us have been talking about it, is that all of this is going to result in more consolidation of the entire distribution model. Why do you think Justin Brock built a massive LOA agency? Because he understands that's where it's ultimately headed. And that's why he advises people, like if you're trying to build an agency, if you're trying to build something that has value and that might be sellable in the future, you should probably build an LOA shop, because building it based on a true FMO model where all you get are thin overrides from external agents that you have no control over is not a real profit engine, and it can easily be snapped. So we're going to see more condensed distribution models. Wouldn't surprise me to see FMOs, like just stay theoretically like myself with GoOvula, right? We're a small IMO. Wouldn't surprise me to see people like us be like, you know what? Do we really need to be independent and represent 15 different carriers? Or can we pick our favorite one and become an FMO for them? Wouldn't surprise me to start to see things like that. Probably not immediately, but I think that's a shift in the future that we'll probably start to see. Is we'll see large agencies in certain regions align themselves with single carriers and be like, hey, I just want to be the best I can be at Devoted or Humana or whoever it might be in that area. And the reason why is because internal distribution ultimately, which is what that would turn into, is a predictable cost and a predictable behavior. We will probably see fewer tourist agents that just kind of come in and out of the marketplace, right? Like, for example, there are people out there that are both insurance agents and tax advisors. And during tax season, they focus on taxes. And during AEP, they go write some Medicare business. We'll probably see fewer of those types of people. But what that means is that we'll see more core producers. So if we see fewer tourist agents, we'll see more core producers. People like me, people hopefully like you that are watching this. We might see tiered agents or tiered FMOs or tiered agencies that are getting preferred pricing, preferred leads, preferred access, which is kind of what I was just leading to. You might see groups or FMOs or captive agencies that are very good at what they do align themselves with a single carrier because they're able to get preferred leads from that carrier. Maybe they get a preferred commission rate from that carrier, right? So think about it this way. CMS sets the maximum They don't set what carriers have to pay you. They set the maximum threshold that carriers are allowed to pay you, which, as we know, for year 2026 is $694 if you're new to Medicare in most states. Some states are higher. Well, what they could do is say, well, we're going to pay all these other agents, and I'm just being arbitrary, we're going to pay them half of that for new to Medicare and even half on replacements. But this agency over here that only pushes us, that has our best interest at heart, that has great accretion rates, that doesn't have a lot of churn, and has decided to align themselves as a partner with us, we'll pay them the full comp, and we'll even give them some leads, and we'll give them premier support so that when they call in for help, boom, they immediately get their phone call answered, or their clients get immediate phone calls answered, things like that. Wouldn't surprise me if we see things go into that direction. And for everybody else, well, here's your flat little comp. You can keep selling us. You're just not going to get all the preferred treatment. We might see stuff like that. We're definitely going to see more scrutiny, I believe. Like, remember, a couple of years ago, there was a big CMS proposed rule that the previous administration threw out where they basically wanted to wipe out all the middlemen, the GAs, MGAs, SGAs, right, between you and the top level, right? And again, if you're new to this world, all Medicare Advantage plans have multiple levels in the contract hierarchy. So they might be thinking, why are we paying 4 layers of people for this one agent's business? And we might start to see some condensed or collapsed hierarchies. Maybe. I'm not saying they're going to wipe out the whole FMO distribution channel, because they can't do that either. But they can certainly start to reduce the number of layers. Why do we have to have 6 levels in our contract structure? Why can't we just have 3? Agent, MGA, and top level distributor. And that's it. Why can't we do something like that? Who's going to win in this game? It's going to be the people that are tech enabled, the people that are very heavy on compliance, the people that are heavy on training of their agents is what I'm talking about. People that are very retention focused. They're not just selling whatever the next plan is. They're not just churning business to hopefully keep their business on the books every year, right? They're focused on retention, keeping people in the plan that they already wrote them. They're operations focused, like how do we build a solid operation that can take care of all of this properly, that can deliver solid tech, that is compliance rich, that is training rich, that is focused in retention. The losers are going to be the contract and pay shops, the recruiting only pyramids, the low support hierarchies, right? Because again, the plans are going to start thinking like, why are we paying 4 levels of people for an agency that we would love to just pay them, because they're the ones doing the job and they do a great job, but there's all these other people in the mix. They're going to start thinking that way. It's just a matter of time. I mean, they already have thought that way. It was the previous administration, but I think that we'll pick up again. I'm not saying that they're going to put another proposed rule on the table to wipe out the FMO hierarchy structure. But again, I'm thinking they might start to look at like how the carriers are going to start looking at how do we reduce some of these layers in hierarchy to reward the agents that are really doing the job. So we're going to have a little bit of a bifurcation of independent agents, right? Group A is going to be your professional advisors. They have high persistency. They have low complaint ratios. Humana's doing it right now. We've already talked about this. I just talked about this a few weeks ago on this show, right? What's Humana doing right now? They've frozen new contracts. Nobody that's brand new to Humana can get contracted right now, at least for the rest of this month, and it might go longer, but I think it'll probably open it back up after this month is over. There's no hierarchy transfers for all of Q1. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to cull a bunch of agents that suck. They're trying to get rid of agents that have high complaint ratios, low persistency, that aren't very good at documenting their book, right? So again, Group A, the winners, they have high persistency rates. And I'm talking high persistency above 80%, probably well above 80, 85 and better, right? Because we already know, like Humana, as a matter of fact, Humana set that rate. They set it at 68%. If your accretion rate is 68% or below, you're probably on the chopping block. If your complaint ratio is 5 CTMs for every 1,000 or less apps, you're on the chopping block. But if you're not, you're in group A. You're going to be one of the winners. You're good at documenting what you have going on in your business, right? You're getting all the SOAs. You're getting the calls recorded properly. You have strong book management. You know what's going on with your clients. You're multi-product retention driven. You're not just a one product rip it and ship it shop, right? You're not just out there slinging the best MAPD that somebody has in your area, whatever sizzle benefit that you can sell because you're a weak agent and you can't sell based on true value and core benefits. You're just selling on the unlimited transportation or the big give back or whatever it might be, right? And you're only selling MAPDs. You're not selling Medicare supplements. You're not also selling hospital indemnity, cancer, whatever. Like, you're not multi-product driven. That's what drives retention, is pairing up those MAPDs with other products to solidify that healthcare package. If you're not that type of agent, you're not in group A of professional advisors, you could easily be in group B, the order takers and churners, right? What will group A get? The high persistency, low complaint ratios, strong documenters, strong book management, multi-product retention driven agents. What are they going to get? They'll probably get better access, better support, better exceptions. They're going to get invited into better programs. That's already been proven. In the Medicare supplement world, number one, that's going to carry over. Invited into programs. I want to hit that real quick. It wasn't too long ago that United Healthcare rolled out a new product in the Medicare supplement space, right? They had United Healthcare AARP Medicare supplements for years. And then they rolled out a new product that was cheaper, UHICA, United Healthcare Insurance Company of America, or whatever the hell it meant. And they only invited for a long time certain agents and gave certain agents access. They didn't just roll that product out and give it to every agent. They said UHICA, UHICA, is only for select agents. Who were those agents? Agents that had a lot of United Healthcare Medicare supplements on the books with very high retention, no complaints, no problems. And they're like, hey, you're a really good agent with great metrics. We want to invite you to participate in this special product that we're delivering. Now, eventually they gave it to everybody. But for a while, a bunch of agents had the edge on the rest of us that had access to UHICA when the rest of us didn't. So same concept here. If you're in the group A, if you're in the professional advisors, the winners, you're going to get invited into stuff like that. You're going to have opportunities for special programs, better access, better support, right? Think of, expand on this. United Healthcare already has it with their silver agent hotline and all of that stuff. If you're one of their better agents, your phone calls get answered faster. Like we're at the top of the queue because we do really well with United Healthcare. We have great retention. We have a great book of business with them. We have no complaints. So when we call into United Healthcare, our phone calls get answered super quick. So that's one example. Same things. Group B, the losers, the order takers, the churners. What's up with these guys? Well, some of them only work AEP. They're not working year round, right? They're the tourist agent that comes in during AEP, writes a big book, and then splits. They have high replacement rates, right? They might write 100 apps with Humana this year, but then next year they move it all to Aetna for whatever reason. They have very low retention, a lot of rapid disenrollments. They're a compliance risk because maybe they don't record all their calls properly. Maybe they miss a few SOAs here and there. What's going to happen to them? Well, they're going to lose access, right? I've already talked about this. Humana is out there creating metrics to drop and cull agents. That's who they're targeting, the order takers, the churners. They will eventually, if they don't exit on their own, they will eventually get pushed out. And that's good. That's great for Group A agents. If you're a Group A agent and you know you are, then that's good news for you. You should be ecstatic for everything that you're seeing. If you're a Group A agent, you take care of your people, you have low complaints or no complaints, you don't have a lot of churn, you follow all the rules, and you have good documentation on your compliance, then all of this should be music to your ears because it's going to create opportunity for you because all of these other people are going to get pushed out of the business. because this environment that they are creating is going to reward real, true agencies and not just sales shops. So over the next 2 to 5 years, and certainly starting next year, you're going to see distribution get more controlled, probably more tiered, probably more selective. Commissions are going to continue to face margin pressure. It could become more performance linked. The higher performers get the higher commissions, maybe, or at least better access. We could see overrides get compressed, or more importantly, I would say maybe not compressed, but consolidated. Right? So the industry is going to move away from a growth at any cost to profitable, controlled growth. These carriers are going to get more surgical. We've already seen them. And this year, we've seen them get more surgical. Where did they go? They went in. What did we see blow up this year? D-SNPs and C-SNPs. They really dove into those plans and made them beautiful. We have sold more C-SNPs this year than I think we've ever sold, easily, because they blossomed. Why? Because, well, that's where the money is right now for these carriers. So the question you need to be asking yourself is, how do we become distribution that a carrier cannot afford to lose? Not, how do we recruit more agents? If you're an agency out there, is what I'm saying, right? If you're an independent agent, little different concept. How do you align yourself with the right people, the right FMOs that aren't going to get pushed out? How do I make myself as an agent someone that is not cuttable, so to speak, right? Easiest way is don't have any CTMs, or at least have less than 5 for every 1,000 apps, and have a really strong accretion rate above 70% for sure. And it should easily, in my opinion, be in the 80s to 90s. It's not that hard. Now, is Medicare Advantage still going to grow? Yes, but it's going to grow slower and more selective, right? Why? Well, because one thing that's true, the Medicare world of beneficiaries is not slowing down. We're still right in the middle. I mean, we're right in the middle of 10,000 boomers every day turning 65. MA penetration rate is still climbing. And technically, the government still prefers capitated models like this. So why is it going to slow down? Whoa, what's happening with my little mouse here? Don't do that. Why is it going to slow down? Well, because benefits are less flashy, right? Plans are more restrictive. Agents are getting pressured a little bit. We have to be more selective. They're starting to measure us, and that's coming from the administration. Like the recent final rule proposal, not this one that I'm talking about mostly, but the one before that I've talked about, that is real directed at marketing regulation on agents. They're getting looser on us from a CMS standpoint. They're releasing a lot of the friction, but they're putting it on the carriers. So this is why we've seen Humana react the way they have, where now they're freezing transfers. They're not allowing new agents because they're going back and they're measuring all their current force to cut some of them. Because what CMS doesn't want to manage us. They want the carriers to manage us. CMS is not in this business of micromanaging agents, but they are in the business of micromanaging the carriers that they're paying. So they want the carriers to manage us, right? So why is the market going to slow down? It's not going to stop. It's going to grow, but it's going to grow more selectively. And that's a big part of it, because the carriers have to make sure that, hey, the right agents are in this business, not the wrong agents. So, and the wrong agents, again, are those that are just selling on trash, not value. So we're going to see benefits get less flashy. Plans are more restrictive. So the growth is no longer subsidized by loose payments, right? So we move from land grab to disciplined, profitable growth, which again, if you're one of the agents in bucket A, it will be a land grab for you, because the agents in bucket B are going to get exited. Where will the growth come from? Not from wild new benefits, not from massive plan expansion, and not from everybody getting richer. It's going to come mostly from people that are new to Medicare, aging in. And that's great, because it's still the cleanest growth pool. So plans are going to have to fight harder for the new to Medicare group. They're going to spend more to go find those people, and they're going to care more about lifetime value, not just the first year comp. That's why we That's why I positioned my entire agency based on going after T65s. When I first got in this business a long time ago, before we ever had Medicare Advantage, I hated talking to T65s. Why? Because it was a long ass sales process. I didn't want to teach people Medicare. I wanted to find people that were already on Medicare, had a Medicare supplement plan that had probably seen some rate increases. And I just came in with the new, cheaper Plan G or the new, cheaper Plan F. Or actually, I mostly sold Plan D and Plan E back then. Long time ago. That's how long I've been in this game. Right? But now that the market has changed, everything's gotten different. Like, I totally want to go after T65s all day. So the more profitable group has a higher lifetime value and is the cleanest growth pool to go after in today's marketplace. Churn is going to become more expensive for these carriers and for us. It's going to become more regulated, more scrutinized. So we will see, in theory at least, less flip-flop behavior. Why? Because agents are not going to get rewarded for flip-flopping agents. They're going to get penalized. If you have a lot of churn in your book, carriers are going to 86 you, or they're going to reduce your comp when you are churning, which makes it less profitable to churn. So therefore, maybe you'll just quit churning. So it'll be more retention focused and more stickiness. We're going to see growth accelerate in the D-SNP and C-SNP market. 100%. Why? Because there's better margins, better risk adjustment, there's better care control, and there's more predictable utilization. Right? It's easy to predict that someone that's on your C-SNP is going to utilize the shit out of your product. It's very easy to predict that. Whereas this guy over here that's healthy as can be, he may not ever use anything. He might go a whole year and not even go to the single doctor or get a script refilled. There's no utilization, and I can't predict it at all. I have no idea how to predict all these people, but I can absolutely predict what the utilization is in my D-SNP and C-SNP space for the carriers. Consolidation will continue to accelerate. So you will see fewer national winners, more exits from the marginal marketplaces. You're going to see more county level pullbacks. Oh yeah, this county's not profitable for us. We don't have good utilization. We don't have good penetration. We have a shitty network. Can't be profitable. Let's get out of there. And you're going to see more focus on the profitable geographies and profitable populations. So carriers are not going to go after like, hey, we have to be everywhere. We have to be omnipresent. No, they're going to say wherever we are, we have to be excellent. Wherever we have our product in a certain marketplace, we have to be excellent. Why? Because we need the money from Medicare to continue to thrive and to be profitable and to grow. Got a few more minutes. I haven't seen many questions come in, but I do appreciate you guys tuning in. See how I want to sum some of this up. Honest 5-year picture. Let's do that. An honest 5-year picture by the time we get to 2020-30. Number one, by the time we get to 2020-30, there's going to be 80 million beneficiaries on Medicare. Massive opportunity. And it's still growing. Like, it doesn't stop when we get to 2030. It just ain't 10,000 a day, but it's still like 6, 7, 8, 9,000 a day, depending on the year that it is after 2030. So MA will still be growing, but it's going to be slower. It's not going to be this giant, massive bull run that we've been on. It's going to be more concentrated, more consolidated, more regulated, more operationally complex. It'll look a lot more like managed care utilities and less like a growth startup sector. What does that mean for you? It means you need to build, if you're an agency builder of any sort, you need to build, or even if you're an individual agent just managing a book in your own backyard. Right? If you're in Houston, Texas, is just a theoretical example, and you're an independent broker in this space, you need to build your own retention machine. How do I keep people on the books with this carrier? You need to learn to be multi-product value per client. Stop just slinging MAPDs. Learn how to layer in all of your extra products, hospital indemnity, cancer, home health care. Great product to put in there. Why? Why is that important? Let's hit on that real quick. It doesn't just mean more money. Like a lot of people think, well, of course they promote me to sell more product to my clients because it makes me more money. Yeah, it does make you more money, but it keeps your people on the books. If you write 3 apps, I mean, like that's the study. I think it was Harvard did a massive study. If you sell 3 products to one client, they are infinitely more likely to stay with you forever than if you just write them that one MAPD. Because if all you do is write them one MAPD and that's it, and you let them go, no matter how you might have written them the perfect MAPD, the best one for them, but some other agent's going to find them, and either he's going to be like, hey, that is a good MAPD. I don't want to flip you on that, but I do want to also make you my client by selling you hospital indemnity or a home healthcare package or something that the other agent left out that you truly need to pair up with. And then when the time comes for them to flip, he's going to flip them. So number one, the big part of why you should be multi-product value per client is not just to make more money and increase your LTV, but it increases your retention, which also makes you more money, right? Means you need to be you need to have process discipline. What is the process for selling an MAPD compliantly, properly, etc.? How do I go from getting my prospect on the phone compliantly to getting them positioned, getting them written, following up, onboarding, etc.? What does that process look like? Do you have discipline in building that process out? You need to have data and strengthen your compliance. Is your process and is your sales, are they documented well? Not just a bunch of top of funnel volume. Because again, the easy growth there is ending and the professional operator era is beginning. That's pretty much where we're at. I got 4 more minutes. Let's go through some mistakes that agencies make. Right? And these aren't hypothetical. These are pretty predictable failures. Number one, they double down on volume instead of quality. More agents, more leads, more AEP bodies, more churn. Why does that fail? Higher compliance risk, lower retention, weaker carrier relationships, weaker margins. And in a tight payout environment, volume without quality becomes toxic and they will 86 you. I'll say that again. Mistake number one is doubling down on volume instead of quality. Mistake number two, ignoring retention as a value strategy or as a revenue strategy. Sorry. Same thing, really. Most agencies think, hey, we'll just replace what we lose. The math breaks when their benefits shrink, plans tighten, switching gets harder, and acquisition costs rise. So again, mistake two is ignoring retention as a revenue strategy. And agencies that ignore that are going to bleed silently and die slowly. Mistake number three, being carrier agnostic in the wrong way. The old mindset is we'll sell everything equally. New reality, carriers are going to start to tier agencies. Access is earned, support is selective. Agencies that don't commit, perform, and deliver quality are going to get deprioritized. So I get it. I said this earlier. We want to be independent. We think that way. But are you being carrier agnostic in the wrong way? Or are you starting to understand? Like I've made this statement in Medicare Monsters Group once, that if you're not steering as an agent, you're doing it wrong. And I know there's a bunch of you like, hey, but we're not supposed to steer. Yes, you are supposed to steer. You're supposed to steer your client to the best opportunity, the best value, the best product for them. That's why you're supposed to steer. You're not supposed to steer to the highest commission or where the most favors are at or where the co-op dollars are at. But you are 100% supposed to steer to where your client will not leave 3 years from now. As an agent, you need to be thinking, how do I make money in this business? I'm trying to make money in the 5th year. I'm not trying to make money today. That's why there's renewals in this business. That's what makes it lucrative. Stop thinking, how do I get rich today? How do you make money 5 years from now on that same person? By steering them to the product that is stable and that will take care of them for years to come, not just help you make money today. Mistake number 4, you have a weak compliance culture, and this will ultimately kill agencies faster than anything else. They have loose documentation, poor call recording, they have high complaint ratios, sloppy scopes, no QA review. You're going to get cut off. Mistake number 5, they don't have an operational backbone. Many agencies are personal brands, founder dependent, and tribal knowledge. Tribal knowledge meaning that everybody knows internally how it works, but it's not documented. And when CMS tightens and carriers scrutinize and start increasing audits, these agencies are going to collapse. Mistake number 4, you're building for today's commissions, not tomorrow. I just hit that, actually. I kind of said that one already in the retention thing, right? Those are the 6 top mistakes. That's the end of the day, or the end of my hour, I should say. Definitely not the end of my day. I got a very busy day training agents and growing my business. So I hope you enjoyed that today. That's what it's about. You guys have an awesome, awesome week. If you're still out there thawing out in the winter storm, I wish you the best, and I will see you next week on Tuesday Training.